The word pipistrelle comes from the Italian for bat, but its roots stretch deeper into a confusion. Vespertilio, roughly meaning bird of the evening. When Linnaeus made the first taxonomic description of bats, they were all placed in the Vespertilio genus, a blurry beginning, bird-like in the half-light of the dusk. It seems inevitable to begin like this, trying to make sense of bats from more familiar species. Soprano pipistrelle is the standard bat of the Solway region. It is everywhere. It flies around your house at night. It flies loop-de-loops around puddles of light, picking off insects lured by streetlights. It probably lives in your attic or your neighbour's. You could describe it as the size of a robin, but that is misleading. They might have the same wingspan, a shared power of flight, and an insect diet. But they're in the wrong format. There is something two-dimensional about a bat. Their bodies are flat and small. A robin's is 3 to 4 times longer and 4 times the weight of a pipistrelle. Bats are mouse-like to the point where their German name, Fledermaus, means flying mouse. An Old English name for them, the rear mouse, ignores the literal for a description of their movement, rear meaning shake or stir in an archaic sense. But we lack the data to back up the evidence of our eyes, our experience of this as a common species. Which is why we are here at Threave, a National Trust for Scotland nature reserve, a wooded wetland on the edge of Castle Douglas, where the sun is just clipping the horizon, its rays washing gold over the petals of the oxeye daisies in front of me. Above there are swallows chattering as they swirl through a dusty sky. A few clumps of grey cloud turning peach at the edges, evening tuning into sunset. The long grasses ahead are turning to golden seed and swaying in the breeze. A pair of belted Galloway cattle move placidly through the field. Foxgloves rise above the dry stone dikes, contours of hot pink through the landscape. We are here to survey for bats. Before I get too far in, some British bat basics. They are nocturnal insect eaters. They are mammals, so they give birth to live young and lactate. The British winter is too harsh, so they have to hibernate. They are not much to look at in daylight. Variations of brown and grey fur, variations of ears from elf-like to rugby player, and variations of dog-like faces, if the dog in question is very, very small. The front of a bat is an adaptation to a life spent echolocating, emitting noises and hearing its echoes. In Scotland there are definitely 9 species of bat, potentially 10. Of course we don't quite know enough. British bats don't carry the rabies that you think of when you think of rabies. 2 of our species carry a variant of it, and then you need to be scratched, bit, or have its saliva come into contact with your mucous membranes, which, as bats are fragile and fear people, is not a situation that should ever occur. One more thing. Some people can still hear bats. I very occasionally hear slight strange squeaks from the larger species, but that's not a reliable method of finding bats. A heterodyne detector, responsible for most of the bat noises you'll be hearing, is what is needed. They have a dial on the front that you turn, and it tunes the ultrasonic signal that the detector produces. Turn it on, and it buzzes with white noise. The detector picks up the ultrasonic frequencies that the bat's echolocation makes, and I'll be honest, I don't understand the science of how this works, heterodynes them, or mixes the signals. The difference between what the bat's frequency is and what the detector is tuned to produces sound at a frequency we can hear. In effect, they are a real-time translation of a bat as it calls around you. you hear them in real time. There are other prohibitively expensive methods, and while a heterodyne detector is not cheap, about £100, they are user-friendly and make the job easier, which is handy when you are surveying bats and the light is constantly dimming.
Going at 55. I'm going at 55. 55 is what I'm getting on. So.
As I was saying before, when you're looking for the peak frequency, for the sake of argument, if you then put it at 45 and just like listen to the difference, if it comes back.
This is going back to 45.
We are carrying out a field survey. Liam Templeton, Species on the Edge project officer, is running training for bat surveyors to pass on both competence and confidence so that others can contribute. Alison and Fiona Rogerson, the trainees, have joined us at the reserve, a wetland with woods on the edge of Castle Douglas. The field survey aims to find pipistrelles and noctules, our littlest and largest bat species, on a series of walks and timed stops. 20 minutes after sunset, we walk roughly 100 metres with our detectors tuned for noctules. Then we stop for 2 minutes, dialling the detectors up to catch pipistrelles passing. Repeat 12 times until the night is as dark as it gets in the Scottish midsummer, and we have walked back to where we began. The slowest kilometre and a bit walk you can do. Liam tells me that we are doing this because Dumfries and Galloway has the greatest diversity of bats in Scotland. The key objective of the project is to achieve a greater understanding of the populations of the 4 species it is targeting. Data deficiency, not knowing what we know and what we don't know, is a problem that stalks bats. People say you can't save what you don't love. Well, you can't love, let alone save what you don't know in the first place. The problem is that the threats facing bats are varied and everyday. The loss of old trees, repairs to old buildings, dwindling insect populations, changes in land use. Without regular monitoring in the first place, there is no baseline to know how things are doing. Alison and Fiona Rogerson are members of the local bat group. I spoke to Fiona about her motivation for being here.
Do you have any early memories of bats?
Yeah, probably just watching them at home. We used to go outside and watch them flying outside, and I think, I've always taken a great interest in nature from a really young age, so anything like that I think is interesting to get involved with, counting and seeing them and finding out about the species. Yeah.
And how long have you been part of the bat group?
Mum and I just, pretty new to it. We've all done an interest in surveying, haven't we, and finding out what species there is and how many and what's around. But we just recently did our level 1 training online, and then we did our level 2, didn't we?
Well, and what are level 1 and level 2 training?
It was learning about bats and their how their frequencies are on the bat detector and the different species that are within the Threave and Galloway that we can look for.
They are referring to the training that the National Bat Monitoring Programme runs to spread the skills required to take part in their surveys. But it is better to do it in person than over Zoom, which is why we are here at Threave, 20 minutes after sunset, detectors buzzing with white noise as we walk into the teeth of a suddenly quite cold breeze. No noctules. We stop at the first point, dial up to pipistrelle frequency, nothing happens, walk on. Alison and her daughter Fiona are an irrepressible combination, a pair who belie their assessment as being pretty new to it, with an exceptional enthusiasm for all nature, a generosity with snacks, and an excellent habit of taking the mick out of me and Liam for dressing like hipsters, particularly when I am visibly shivering from the breeze. Soprano and common pipistrelle come as a pair too, not quite parent and child, but the closest possible cousins. Close enough that it wasn't until 1993 that it was discovered that there wasn't one pipistrelle flitting through the night sky, but 2 distinct pipistrelles that echolocated at different rates. It took until a paper from a 1999 issue of the Bulletin of Zoological Nomenclature to make it formal. One pipistrelle became scientifically two, named and described. At 45 kHz, the Soprano pipistrelle retained its name as the first pipistrelle known to science. At 55 kHz, the Soprano pipistrelle, so called because it echolocates at a higher frequency, is the glamorously new, though its scientific name, Pipistrellus pygmaeus, stems back to 1825, England, and an overexcited naturalist finding an infant pipistrelle and thinking it a wholly new type. He was right, but not in the way he thought. Species that look the same but are different are known as cryptic species. It seems entirely appropriate to me that bats, mammals that we should know better, have cryptic species, only known about because they sound different, and in sounds that we can't even hear in the first place. It doesn't get more data deficient than not even knowing they exist. Stop. Dial up to pipistrelle. Wait 2 minutes. Silence. Other than the detector's static, the blackbirds hammering out their dusk pink calls, some distant feral geese honking, the secondary white noise of leaves rustling in the breeze. Walk on as a mostly full moon rises. Repeat. Same result. And then, at the next stop, a bat does stir, shaking free of the leaves, parting the crowns of the trees. It spins on a wing, fleeting. Another cuts across. They fly with a controlled chaos, the eye not seeing the control, only the chaos. Disappearing against dark trees, then detaching into the still light sky. Their erratic jinking is dizzying, unpredictable, flying in fast forward. From the buzz of the detector, suddenly other sounds emerge, as if this small black box was suddenly speaking in tongues, garbled, glitching, like your tongue smacking the roof of your mouth, but quicker than humanly possible, like the sound you might make when something you need to say or think is painfully just out of reach. Then another sound. The rattle reaches a sharp crescendo, and then a beat of silence. A feeding buzz. The echolocation locking onto a life and the bat taking it. There is a rhythm to the survey, the walk and the waiting. Once the first pipistrelles have appeared, more come at each stop, and we confirm them all as soprano by shifting the detector's dial to 55 kHz, the sounds growing stronger as we do so. Away from the woodland, they skim along the hedgerows. Bats like to navigate along the features of a landscape, rather than out into the open. A hedge reads like a highway to them. Blank spaces are as featureless as the open sea. The pipistrelles follow the tree line beside the marsh of meadowsweet and sweetgrass, fly parallel to the river and past the 14th century castle, ignoring the boat at moor in the middle of the River Dee. One of the stops aligns with the end of the hedge. By now the moon is dimly veiled with light cloud, the detector pulsing its strange rhythms, its weird bat disco. Soprano pipistrelles flying along the hedge turn at the end, spin on a wing above our heads, and disappear into the near distance. We have all seen soprano pipistrelles before, but still the strange magic of bats takes our breath away.
Wildlife, I'm very happy with the wildlife was.
A good survey. Everyone satisfied. Midge action minimal. The night is sublime. Sometimes it is ridiculous, sometimes it is neither. After our first field survey, we are aware of headlights flying down the entrance track. A cop car pulls into the car park and stops behind our vehicles. The window winds down. We explain that we are here on a bat survey. "Ah, so you're no here for the dogging," says the cop. After the next survey, blue lights come flying down the track. Police with blindingly bright torches walk towards us, describing a missing person we haven't seen. Because the night can be a place to hide.